Hi, everybody, and welcome to our Sunday at 6 p.m. Green Party Tea episode. I am back. And Happy New Year if I have not said it to any of you all that have come into my space. This is actually the second Sunday of the new year, and I'm not really sure what's going on in this space quite yet. YouTube is very new to me, so I have spoken with a few people because I do want to get my interviews and things up and running because this is an election year. So I will be switching to StreamYard at some point in time in the near future. And once we do that, we'll be able to simultaneously broadcast. So I'm looking forward to it. I did talk with some fellow Greens about it. Because I was thinking about what I could do about some of my videos not showing or anything like that, because I've been here, but I'm not here. So I'm not sure what's going on. So in that respect, I want to thank everybody who has stuck with me through these trying times and has just been there with me to encourage me to keep going forward, because this is something that we all must have. We want to have Green Party news every single day of the week, and we are still striving to do that. So I will be remiss without putting that call out for anybody that is Green Party leaning to shout out to me, or just bring me into your area and just say, hey, I have a kind of show that I would like to get involved with Green Party Media, and we would be most definitely willing to look into it. Right now, we have this show, which is Green Party Tea, on Sundays at 6 p.m. Eastern, and we also have our flagship show. Well, if I should say flagship show, but they feel like the flagship show to me because they are so popular and so amazing in the Green Party space. So that would be the Green Live Stream, which is done through the Illinois Green Party with Edie Arnell and Scott Free. They have a show on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays. So effectively, we have 3 days: Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So we would like to have more. We also have Comrade Landon. He is available. We are working out that time frame with him because some of his are pre-recorded and on different days. So we'll bring that information to the front and allow other people to be able to see what he has as well, because it is from that Yes Caucus perspective, and we love it. Yeah, Yes Caucus. So they just had a meeting today. I hope everybody was able to attend. My son was supposed to attend. However, he has rehearsal, so I'm not even sure if he was able to. He is in a play with his school that is upcoming, and theater is his major. So while they were out for break, they had a great time, but now it's time to get back to the basics. So I'm pretty sure he might have been at rehearsal if he was not able to make it. I haven't even talked to him today, but that is things that happen when you're doing those types of things. You're doing rehearsals, you're doing what you can do. So while we have to put our lives in different places and different spaces to do what we need to do, just remember that the things that are important always will be. So to that I say, let's move on to talk about some things that have been happening with the Green Party recently. And yes, I am going to get those things, and I can't wait to be able to have the StreamYard so I can pull things up and you'll be able to see what it is I'm talking about, because we've had a lot of things happening lately. And we have talked about it very much so in the Green Party. So we want to say what those things are. So as always, I give you where the resource is, and I like for you to look into it. So if you go to gp.org, you'll be able to find this information. But this is a press release from our Green Party. It says Green Party condemns Trump attack on Venezuela. The Green Party condemns the kidnapping of Venezuelan president and his wife and demand their immediate release. We strongly oppose this illegal act of war, which violates both the U.S. Constitution and international law. Congress needs to immediately commence impeachment proceedings against Trump. The party also harshly reacted to the assertion by Trump that the United States will now be running Venezuela for the near term, and if he faces any local opposition, he will send in a second wave of American military forces to subdue the population. And this was released on January 3rd. The party urges the Senate to vote on the resolution scheduled for next week to halt military intervention. The bipartisan resolution only needs a majority to pass. According to the chapter of the United Nations, force is only permissible in response to an armed attack or possibly to rescue a population facing an imminent threat of extermination. Trump is primarily interested in seizing control of Venezuela's oil and other natural resources. His pretext of seeking to protect Americans from drugs is ludicrous, especially in light of his pardon just a month ago of ex-Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez, who was serving a 45-year sentence for drug trafficking. Congress must immediately convene to finally rein in this president who is ripping to shreds the Constitution and American democracy, said Craig Cayetano, co-chair of the Green Party of the U.S. The White House National Secretary Strategy document released in November 2025 outlined that Trump considers a priority focus on the Western Hemisphere, which clearly looks like taking control of Venezuela oil, while at the same time attempting to thwart a socialist government, said Cassandra Lims, co-chair of the Green Party of the U.S. The Green Party is committed to join with other groups committed to peace, justice, and the rule of law to organize nationwide protests to free Maduro and his family and to stop this illegal war. So they do have the links in the press release where you can see the different things that they were talking about and the contact information as well, so that you can contact anyone that you would like to about it. And for additional information, you can contact Laura Matera, who is the co-chair of our media committee, and Michael Stewart. He is the co-chair of the international committee. So that was from the Green Party US as a statement. However, what I would like to also look into is how we had the actual, I want to say, caucuses in North Carolina talk about these things. Okay, so when we were talking about the Venezuela issue, we did go ahead and go through a lot of different things. And so I will put that information out there. Give me just a moment. Trying to make sure I have it correctly. Because it might be in another folder, so that's why I'm trying to make sure. I thought I had everything pulled up. Okay. Give me just a few more moments here, and I apologize. Okay. Go in one other place it could be under it. If I don't find it there, I know where I can find it. So I'm not really worried at this point in time. We do have everything I need, so not that worried. Okay, so we actually did put this information out on Instagram, just so you know, and it was actually with the a joint statement from the Black Caucus of the North Carolina Green Party, as well as the Arab and Muslim American Caucus of the North Carolina Green Party. So it is as follows. The Black Caucus and the Arab and Muslim American Caucus of the North Carolina Green Party issued this joint report to formally condemn the illegal U.S. military invasion of Venezuela and the kidnapping of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and First Lady Celia Flores. The January 3rd operation, labeled Operation Absolute Resolve, represents a dangerous escalation of U.S. imperial power and a direct assault on the sovereignty of nations in the global south. Following the invasion, President Maduro and First Lady Flores were transferred to the United States and arraigned in a New York City courtroom on January 5th. The revival of a 2020 indictment, reportedly under the direction of Trump administration and Attorney General Pam Bondi, constitutes a judicial spectacle designed to legitimize an act of war through domestic legal proceedings. We reject both the legitimacy and the legality of these proceedings. President Maduro has asserted his status as a prisoner of war and denied all charges. I'm so sorry. It sounded like I had an accent from somewhere else. I don't know where that came from. The planned continuation of proceedings, including a hearing scheduled for March 17th, so we got to be on the lookout for March 17th, everyone, violates core principles of international law, including state sovereignty and non-intervention. It also contradicts established U.S. constitutional precedent, including Supreme Court rulings that limit the extraterritorial application of constitutional protections to non-citizens for alleged acts with no nexus to the United States. This prosecution is political in nature and intended to normalize unlawful military aggression. The stated justification for the operation, alleged death of oil, has been widely challenged. Historian Miguel Tinkler Salas has documented that Venezuela nationalized its oil industry in 1976 with full compensation to foreign companies. Resource extraction, not justice, is the primary motive behind U.S. actions. This escalation has been accompanied by inflammatory rhetoric from U.S. officials, including public statements threatening other sovereign nations. Now think about it, because we're talking about Greenland here, okay? Further demonstrating a pattern of coercion, I'm going to say that wrong every time, coercion, and intimidation. These actions have not gone unchallenged. Internationally, Spain, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Mexico, and Uruguay have jointly condemned the U.S. intervention as a violation of international law and a dangerous precedent for regional peace and security. This incident is not an isolated event, but as part of a broader continuum of colonial and imperial violence. The same U.S. military apparatus that supports the destruction of Gaza destabilizes regions of Africa, Southwest Asia, and North Africa, and has historically intervened throughout Latin America, is now acting openly in pursuit of resource control and regime change. The struggles of Venezuela, Palestine, Sudan, and the Congo are interconnected struggles against a global system that prioritizes corporate and imperial profit over human life and self-destruction. Now, don't forget, we are boycotting the UAE. We are boycotting all those places that profit from war. So if you are going to Dubai, please think about the people that it hurts when you do go to Dubai. Think about the people in the Congo and Sudan and Palestine, because you are indeed hurting that civilization. So I beg of thee, please boycott the UAE and Saudi and every place else that you could think about. They are not good places. They don't have gold mines or anything like that, but they are cities filled with gold. Think about where that goes. Think about your morals and say if you still want to go to those places. Back to the press release. Venezuela's interim president, Dele, and I'm not pronouncing that right, and I'm sorry, Rodriguez, has convened her cabinet with a focus on national sovereignty and public safety, reiterating Venezuela's call for peace and their right to determine their own future free from foreign aggression. As caucuses representing communities deeply affected by racism, colonialism, and militarism, we analyze these events through the Green Party's 4 pillars. This invasion undermines grassroots democracy and social justice by denying national self-determination, violates the principle of nonviolence, and reflects a profound disregard for ecological wisdom through resource-driven warfare. Michael Dublin, co-chair of the Black Caucus of the North Carolina Green Party and U.S. House candidate for Congressional District 2, stated, "From the ongoing genocide in Gaza to the exploitation of Africa to the streets of Ferguson and Raleigh, the thread is the same: a dehumanizing system that uses violence to maintain control and extract wealth from the marginalized. The abduction of President Maduro is a brazen act of colonial piracy. Our liberation is bound together. The struggle of the Venezuelan people is the struggle of Palestinian people, is the struggle for Black liberation here at home. We must resist as one." Mark Alborno, vice chair of the North Carolina Green Party and co-chair of the Arab and Muslim American Caucus of the North Carolina Green Party, stated, "The lawlessness of the United States government has reached a crescendo in the last week, with legal strikes on Nigeria and now the unprecedented invasion and kidnapping of an elected sovereign leader. In every instance of unlawful U.S. aggression, the root is a standard policy of control of resources and punishment of nations who seek to forge their own path, not under the thumb of empire." Referencing the doctrine of full spectrum dominance frequently cited during the 2024 presidential campaign, Alborno further stated, "The U.S. cannot continue to bully the rest of the world and keep its own citizens safe doing so." Where are the Democrats and the Republicans? Where is the EU? Where is the UN? Apparently, they are all either complicit in this gangsterism or they are simply cowering in fear. Only an immediate mass mobilization of people around the world can turn this around. It's time for a general strike. So in this, there were joint demands listed from the caucuses. The joint demands include, in alignment with our principles, we jointly call for the immediate and safe return of President Nicolas Maduro and First Lady Celia Flores to Venezuela, the termination of all U.S. judicial proceedings against them, and the provision of necessary medical care. Number 2, an immediate end to U.S. military actions against Venezuela and the full withdrawal of U.S. military assets from the Caribbean region, including the cessation of all Southcom interventions. Number 3, the complete lifting of U.S. sanctions against Venezuela and other nations, recognizing sanctions as a form of collective punishment and economic warfare, as an end to the war on drugs framework as a justification for intervention across Latin America, which was number 4. Number 5, the restoration of full diplomatic relations with Venezuela, including the reopening of embassies. Number 6, a fundamental shift in U.S. foreign policy toward peace, militarism, multilateralism, and respect for national sovereignty. And finally, number 7, we affirm that global liberation struggles are inseparable and that justice for one people requires justice for all. So, I am a spokesperson for that one, actually. So if you want to reach out to me in regards to that, that is completely fine. I have no problems taking that up with you. We also did come up with some things that you can do to talk with your congressman about that, because there are things that people might not know about what's going on. And we all the time want to make sure that we're taking action. So the action that we also have in the list of our demands is to contact your U.S. senators and House representatives immediately. Demand they publicly denounce this illegal invasion and use all tools to halt it. So in North Carolina, we are actually planning a No War on Venezuela Day of Action. It will most likely be in Raleigh at Moore Square, and it would be not this Saturday that passed. It will be next Saturday, which is the 17th. So I know that that is a day of action for a lot of people. And I'm going to try to see if I can get that action toolkit up. So if you want to know about it and have that in your area, there is an action toolkit for this. And it is done. I'm trying to go back to the website. Global Day of Action. It's called worldbeyondwar.org. So if you go to worldbeyondwar.org. And I will put that in the chat for anybody that is wanting to be a part of this. Give me just a second while I get this typed in the chat. Worldbeyondwar.org is having their Global Day of Action and Solidarity with Venezuela on January 17th. No war, no overthrow, no coup, no sanctions. We are calling for an end to U.S. hostility towards Venezuela, including sanctions, threats, and war. End all war and hostilities toward Venezuela. Cut off the funding that allows such crimes. Free Venezuela's kidnapped president. Bring all U.S. troops and equipment back to the United States from Venezuela and vicinity. Cancel the brutal economic sanctions, naval blockade, and no-fly zones. Renounce overthrows and the Monroe Doctrine. Impeach, convict, and remove President Trump from office. So it says, join us for a global day of action on Saturday, January 17th, in solidarity with Venezuela by organizing an action in your town. Actions can take many shapes and sizes, from rallies, vigils, and sit-ins at U.S. embassies, military bases, elected officials' offices, marches, and protests in town squares, to teach-ins and forums, to letter writing, phone banking, petitioning, passing local resolutions, and more. So all this information is available at worldbeyondwar.org. You can sign up to host an event, and there can be more than one event during that day as well. As it said, that the events take place in several different ways and several shapes and forms. So if that's something that you would like to do in coordination with other organizations in the area, that is also fine. I can perfectly see where a teach-in, a rally, a vigil for the lives that were lost in Venezuela, and a letter writing campaign can go all in one area within an hour worth of time, maybe two. So I think sit-ins or rallies and in front of the elected officials' offices, those might be, so you can hand in those instead of emails sometimes, or calling. Sometimes you would have that direct letter that you can sit right there on that elected official's office stairs or wherever you want to sit them at, hand them that information, and still do the phone calling, still do the emailing, because it is very, very important that we get that done. We get our voices heard, and we get that recorded. So it won't be like, oh, they said, oh, we didn't get the letter. Well, did you get the email, the voicemail, the fax? Did you get any of that? Because we did all the things. We did all the things, and list all the things that have been done. And that will be great. So these are the actions right now that the Green Party itself has taken up with Venezuela. And we are continuing to do those things, as a matter of fact, because, again, these things do not stop. And it's not going to stop unless we do something about it. And we want to continue that work. If we don't continue that work, where are we going to be? So I just want to make sure I got all the other press releases that were available. Yes, I did get all the other press releases. I believe. So I'm gonna make sure I get that. And I think there was one more by, I think there was one more, and I'm going to, okay. Nope, it's not there. So it's okay. I thought it was, but it is not. But we did have some things that were going on that I did want to let other people know about, because there are some things that are coming up if you are not aware of these events. And I even had to put one on my calendar because it was such a good thing for me to be able to see. And I actually liked it and what was going on. So let me just get my events calendar up, and I'll be able to let you know what it is. Okay. So on Monday, tomorrow, January 12th, there is an Eco Action webinar on artificial intelligence from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And it can be pre-registered. I'll try to get the link if I can in the actual website. Well, into the chat. I'll try to do it if it lets me do it. I don't know. Am I still here? Okay, yay! I'm still here. So I'm going to try to put the link in the actual chat box so you guys can register for the event. And that will be something that you can see if you are interested. Like a lot of Greens have been interested in talking about how artificial intelligence is shaping the world and what we as Greens are thinking about in terms of artificial intelligence. Some people say artificial intelligence, bad. And then some people say artificial intelligence, not that bad, depending on how you use it. And then some people go further and say artificial intelligence has been with us for a long time. It is the gateway of the future. We must comply. And I can't help but to think of one video I saw not too long ago. And it was of an AI bot, if you will. And this AI bot scared the crap out of me. And I will tell you why, because it reminded me of iRobot. If you have not watched iRobot, I would say you should watch it. It's not to scare you, but iRobot was how I felt about AI and technology for a long time. And I like the use of technology in some areas, but not to the extent to where it is going to be a detriment to the society and the environment, so to speak. So what I have done is looked into ways for my peace of mind and understanding in how we can go about, I think that one worked. So yeah, if you click on that link, I did put it in and it does work. Yay. So the other one is not working. It's not clickable. So let me go ahead and get that one clickable. But if you go, if you think about it, says we have to use a lot of water for artificial intelligence. And that is very true. I wasn't aware of how it actually worked until somebody pointed out to me that they were having something in my own town. I live in a small little town, about an hour or so, 45 minutes to an hour away from the capital. And they are trying to build a hub for AI tech here. And the citizens came out swinging about it. And when they did, I was grateful for what they did because I had not seen this community come together for a lot of things, but that was one thing that they had come together for because they were really concerned about how it would affect our waterways, and we have a lot of farmers here, so how would it affect the soil and things of that nature, which made me look into it even more. And I looked into it and I saw a YouTube video. I watched too many YouTube videos to try to even think about it right now as far as providing the link. So I apologize in advance. However, I saw a YouTube video of someone walking through what it would look like to have AI as technology and also provide a green new future. And a lot of that relied on using economic strongholds like wind energy, solar energy. And I said, well, that is a good concept, but how far does it go? So I am really interested in hearing what they have to say at this eco webinar. And again, that is tomorrow from 8 to 9 p.m. The link is in the chat, and I have fixed the link for the worldbeyondwar.org in the chat as well. So either of those two links will be available to you since I have fixed them now. So I apologize about that. However, when we're talking about certain things, we cannot, it is a good thing to keep an open mind. I always say that to everyone. You have to keep an open mind about the things that are happening around you, because when those things are, people go at it from both sides. You really have to understand what the truth of it is. What is the matter? Oh, what the truth of the matter is. There he goes. That's what I was trying to say. So my apologies. So when we're talking about it, it is good to ask professionals who are in the field of technology. Why? Because that's something they deal with. They deal with having to keep the servers cool. So that's something that my husband deals with in his line of work. He has to, deal with the servers being cool. So if you know a little bit about it, then you can understand it a little bit more. It is just really that simple. Making sure that you have the knowledge, and that means you have to learn some things. A lot of people are not aware that a lot of AI is already built into everything that we do. Some people don't see a Google search or a Bing search or any of the other searches that you might use because you're trying to get away from Google. They might not see that as a form of AI, even though it is. They might not see all of the technology around us as a form of AI, even though it kind of is. So, and a lot of times, and I will always say this is always going to be something that I say, you need to have these people in the room whenever you're talking about policies, whenever you're talking about things that are going to affect everyone's lives. You need to have a disabled person, an indigenous person, a BIPOC person, and a woman in the room. If you do not have those four elements in the room, you do not have a consensus of what is needed in the area you are in. And the reason I say that specifically is because the disabled community gets left out a lot. I'm a disability advocate. So I know a lot of times that the disabled community is not looked at when policies are enacted. If it were so, then there wouldn't be so many issues with accessibility. If you're thinking about housing, then you would see all these houses that are being built. Are these houses that are being built made accessible for you at your current state or you at your future state? And that means wide doorways that can fit a wheelchair or a gurney that needs to go through to try to get you out of your room if something happens. Like an ambulance has to come and get you. Or is the space that you're living in going to be accessible to you when you get older? You can't reach as far and things of that nature. So if you don't have someone with a disability, whether it be mental or physical, you are not going to be able to truly get an understanding of what the needs for people in that community are, whatever the case is. And then when we talk about indigenous people, if you're in this so-called United States of America, you are on indigenous land that was stolen. So therefore, indigenous people have the utmost right to be in the room where any policy is passed, because 9 times out of 10, it's going to affect their abilities to be able to be where they're at. A lot of the things that y'all see right now about fracking and things like that, you'll see the indigenous community come out in droves saying, hey, not here. This is going to affect the land that you gave us off these treaties that you're not even complying to. So having the indigenous people in the room is of utmost importance. And then when we say having BIPOC people in the room, that is Black, indigenous, people of color. And the reason I said BIPOC is because there are a lot of places and a lot of spaces. If we're not there, we're just not there. So it goes to have someone in the minority be in that space. So if you have that, so just to explain a little bit more, if you have someone of Mexican descent in that space where a lot of people have Mexican descent, it would be a lot better in that space than you would if you had someone else who is not familiar with that area. Nationally, you can have that as well. But It's just depending on the area and what you're trying to do, because some things go back to a cultural root that some people will not understand. Okay, so you need to make sure that a BIPOC person is in the room that fits the situation that you are going to. Um, and then when we talk about having a woman in the room, well, I think we can always say that having someone in that room that will be able to talk about the things that matter with reproduction. Well, let's say instead of saying woman, let me just say people that can reproduce. I'll just say that. So when it comes to reproduction matters, you want to be able to talk about how that is going to affect them as well, because you might not know what that sense of security might feel like for them to be able to have that say so in that space. It could be a talk about mountains, but that person might be able to say to you, I have always wanted to give birth in a mountain scenery. So I would like to make sure that it's in compliance with these areas. It might be something that, other people might not have thought of before. So you have to give the benefit of the doubt where the benefit is due. And that's one of those things that we always want to have in the room. So I'm happy that I was able to explain that to you. If you have any questions about it, please let me know. But those are the four people that I will always want and welcome into a room when policy or things like that are being made, because they are going to have that unique sense of understanding. And it's not going to come from a capitalistic view. It's going to come purely from a place of, we need to do better for the people around us, and we need to do better for this land that we are on, and all of those things. So in terms of AI, it's the same thing that I think about. If you don't have those four people in the room, then you're not doing what you're supposed to do. And that brings me to that topic of Grok, taking the clothes off of women and children and things of that nature and allowing it to happen. That is totally disgusting. It is totally beyond anything that we need to be doing. So when I think about that and I think about the values of the Green Party, I'm just floored that this is allowed to be able to happen, because it's not, it's demeaning in one sense, and then it's just plain wrong in another sense. If you think about what was done, somebody used AI to take another person's clothes off when they could have simply used AI to make a complete person of their own origin. They used it in a way to take away that person's right to privacy, and that should not be done. So if you think about, and I'm only saying this because it's relevant, if you think about a celebrity who's been covered up and things like that, and then one day they go on a website and now they have this prefabricated body that might or might not be similar to theirs, but they have their face on it from whatever, they might feel like their privacy has been invaded. And yes, we have a system where if celebrities get their privacy invaded all the time, but mostly not to that extent. However, that person could have spent their time and came up with the ideal person that they wanted and dressed them however they wanted to, but they didn't. They targeted a specific person, which to me is another form of stalkerism, in my opinion. That is just how I feel about it. If you have to take the clothes off of an individual that you deem pretty, or somebody that's your type or anything like that, instead of thinking, well, hey, let me not do that, I can just create something else, because that is the greatest part about the innovation of AI, then you are stalking and harassing a person. And I don't know what the repercussions of that are, but I hope that there is some way, even in this new AI field that we have, for people to be able to stop those things from happening. But as we can see on Grok's Good Bad website, that doesn't matter. And so we have to look at the owner and say, yeah, I see why that is happening, but it should not be happening at the same time. And we have to do the work to make it stop happening. Because I do remember a scandal a while back where parents were uploading their children to a certain website to see what they would look like in pageant clothes and things like that. And then it came out that, sex traffickers or kidnappers and things like that were using these photos. And it was flooring to me to see that this seemingly innocent thing changed to something different. And that is the power of AI that we do have to look at when we're trying out different things. So AI can be um, good and bad from the application of it, but it can be also good and bad in terms of it existing as a source anyway. So this eco webinar, I believe, is going to be interesting. Remember, the link is in the chat if you want to sign up for it. And I believe that we will all come to a consensus someday where this does not hurt us as individuals. It just helps us do things that we need to do. And I say that as, again, a lot of people in the disabled community use AI to do things that they cannot do for themselves. So in that case, AI good, AI bad, when we do things we shouldn't do, such as taking the clothes off of people. So this is going to be really interesting. I hope that a lot of you are able to join and see what is going on, because you will be surprised at what you hear. And speaking of which, we are going to go on to our next topic at hand. There will be a live discussion on sociocracy. Okay. And this is going to be on Tuesday, January 13th. So, we got two things coming up. Wissam is going to be hosting it. He is the founder of the Dearborn blog and the Arab American Center for Cultural and Arts, and author of the Universal Declaration of Human Values. And we're going to have guest Henry Pratt, a politics veteran from the Bernie 2016, to dozens of state and local campaigns as a consultant and campaign manager. Henry's big thing is grounding policy in place and people, not abstract talking points. He's a longtime member of the Campaign Workers Guild and an Extinction Rebellion activist, serving in earned media roles since 2019, including spokesperson, features with DigiDay and the American Conservation Film Festival. Yes, Getty has him filed under climate activist, which is objectively funny. Former Hansard Society scholar in the UK House of Commons, currently living in Brooklyn with the malicious-looking cactus. We'll unpack how sociocracy can help progressive movements build power without burnout, drama, or hidden hierarchies. Bring your questions. So I am going to add that YouTube link to the chat as well, so everyone can sign up from there. So we got a lot of things coming up from the Green Party. We are there. So that's a Monday and Tuesday that you already have. And then Wednesday, what do we have? The Green live stream. You guys are getting it. I love it. So Green live stream on Wednesday. That's a full 3 days, if you don't count today, 3 days of green things coming right at you. So just remember that we are out there. We are doing things. We are not going away. We are here to stay. And we'd like your support to keep building and building and building, because that's what we want to do. So I am typing this in the chat so that you can sign up for it. It's going to be live here on YouTube. So don't forget that. And put it in your calendar. Mark your calendar like I have, because we all have busy lives and we sometimes forget what's going on. So in that case, putting it in your calendar for me has been the biggest way of remembrance. So I'm going to put it in the chat, and then I'm going to click the link to see if it works. And it does, ladies and gentlemen. So you can click that link and have that. Again, that is Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, and it'll be live on YouTube, Dearborn blog, with Wissam and Henry. Okay, so I wonder if we have anything else going on. Okay, so that is the only thing that I have for this week coming up. So then we have, let's say, Thursday and Friday. Hopefully we'll have some things going on Thursday and Friday that I can add to the channel or anything like that. But we shall see. And I'm going to try to pin these to the messages, but I don't think it's going to let me pin too many of them. However, so we do have things that are going on in the Green Party that you can be there for. And if you look at the local chapters around where you are, you'll be able to see if they have any on the ground movements that are happening around your area, or if they have anything that is in your area virtually. I know a lot of campaigns are happening. Woo! We have a lot of campaigns that are happening around the country. And we want to be in support of those campaigns. We want to pay attention to what's going on because, hi, Tracy. It's nice to see you. Thank you for stopping by. I feel like I'm meeting an old friend. It's so wonderful. So we want to make sure that we are going out and seeing those different areas of organization that we have, your state party, your chapters. You can go to gp.org/states, and you'll be able to see what different things are available in your state, find out their media information, and you can see if they have anything that's coming on near you, because that is what's most important. We need boots on the grounds. We need volunteers to get the work done, and campaigning surely underway. I know there's going to be a lot of ballot access going on. And we're going to talk about ballot access a little bit more again, because we did kind of talk about it one day and that was kind of fun. But ballot access for a lot of states is about to happening. So we're going to talk about petitioning. We'll talk about making sure you're following laws, because believe it or not, if you have to have 1,500 signatures for something, you might as well get 2,000. A lot of that's going to get thrown out, and for no good reason. But, you just have to go above what your number is supposed to be. You can't just stop at that goal number, because technicalities and things of that nature. I know in North Carolina right now, if you are collecting signatures, that's fine, but you cannot register anyone to vote. So you can't have their voter registration and turn it in yourself. You can no longer do that. What you can do is have that individual register to vote themselves. You can tell them where to vote. You can have a QR code that allows them to be able to go straight to the DMV website or wherever to vote at, to register to vote at, but you are no longer allowed to register anyone to vote. And I believe this is stemming from the fact that a lot of people thought it was voter fraud from registering people to vote that were not there. So if they say you need 500, get 15, I would say if they say you need 500, get 800. I would say 800, just to be sure, because you always have to have more. You always have to have more. It is just what it is. Even though, just for example, in New York, when they were petitioning for Jill Stein to be on the ballot, they had a lot of signatures. They met the requirement for the signatures. However, a lot of those signatures were thrown out. And since they were thrown out, even though they tried to get over the amount, but a lot of them being thrown out, they did not meet that threshold. So that's what we're talking about here. It can just be that technicality that will get you put off of getting that ballot access that you really, 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 really need. So pay attention to those things. Pay attention to how you're requesting ballot access. Are you requesting ballot access as an independent candidate, or are you requesting ballot access through a party? And I'm again talk about something that happened here in North Carolina. With ballot access in North Carolina, we did not technically retain ballot access by the rules of North Carolina, which are 2% for the presidential nominee or 2% for the governor nominee. However, we did gain ballot access through the presidential candidate or nominee having been on the ballot in at least 35 states. So with Jill Stein running and being on the ballot in 38 states, we were able to remain, well, have our ballot access, but we had to show them this information when they had already taken us off the ballot. So, with that being said, and then having to get it voted on, we were instead put on the ballot as a new party. Okay. So, being put on the ballot as a new party, it means that we're not going to be on your primary seats. You're not going to see us in the primaries at all. What you will see for the primaries are the Democrats and the Republicans. I don't even believe the Libertarians have any primaries going on, but you will see the Democrats and Republicans. If you are still wanting to run for to be a candidate in North Carolina for the North Carolina Green Party, there's still time because we're going through our nomination process. Because as a new party, you are nominated and put on the ballot by a nomination convention of your party. So in February, we will be having a nomination convention. And up until then, you have the ability to say, hey, I want to be a Green Party candidate for such and such place, district, whatever the case may be. And then once we go to the nominating convention, that is when the names will be chosen that are going on the ballot and where. And then that will be given to the state. And that is when your name will go on the ballot. So we don't have the regular primaries. People do still have to register. So it doesn't mean that you don't have to pay that filing fee. Just be reminding everyone, it doesn't mean you don't have to pay your filing fee. What it means is you just have to wait to pay your filing fee if you're doing so in a partisan race. Okay. Partisan race, meaning that you will be listed as a Green Party member on the ballot. If you are doing nonpartisan, then this does not apply to you. Okay. So I think that a lot of the at-large seats or things like that are nonpartisan. I know one Green Party member, Billy Josh Bradley, he is running for Raleigh City Council. And since his seat is nonpartisan, he had to go ahead and file. So his campaign is well underway. Okay, so we are moving forward with everything for his campaign. He has gone through the endorsement process for the North Carolina Green Party, which you will be able to see at ncgreenparty.org/candidates. There is an endorsement process if you would like to go through that process as well. And we'll be sending out information about the convention as well pretty soon. So we have endorsed candidates. We also have people who are wanting to be endorsed that are going through our endorsement committee. So there are different things that happen in different places and different states, but knowing those laws and reasonings, and if you're being independent or if you're going behind a party, what's going on with that party, it's going to make a big difference. A lot of times people say that ballot access comes from a candidate. It can, but ballot access is ultimately the party's responsibility. So you don't have to have a candidate necessarily running, but is it good? I mean, yeah, because you would want to have a candidate running in order to have your party on the ballot, unless you're running as an independent completely. So there are a lot of different things that go on with ballot access and keeping people on the ballot and things of that nature. So I would definitely implore everyone to get some knowledge about what ballot access is and what it means to you and your political endeavors if you decide to run for office or you're campaigning or you're petitioning for signatures. I think one of the things that I saw, what I thought was very cute and sweet, was I was at a Christmas parade for my son who's in JROTC, and while we were at the Christmas parade, people were coming by with petitions to get signatures to get somebody on the ballot. I mean, what other place would there be that is public and a lot of people are going to be there? And they had like 3 or 4 people on both sides of the streets just going with, clipboards and things like that. That's one of those ballot access things that people forget about sometimes. People can say no, people can say yes, but you need to be around where the people are in public spaces. So that was a really, really, really good way to get things out. And believe it or not, parades happen a lot. more than you think. You have your Thanksgiving parade, your Christmas parade, your MLK parades that are coming up. So if you're thinking about ballot access and it's opening to you right now in your state and you need those signatures and there's an MLK parade going on next Monday, hey, take that as a good sign to go ahead and pick up those clipboards. Or if you're just wanting to get people more interested in your campaign or anything that's going on, take your signs out there, take your paraphernalia out there, and pass it out just like you would any other day, because that is where the people are. So, highly encourage parades because you'll never know who you're getting to be interested in what you're doing. And that is a good way to do so. Even every free event you could think about going to is a good way to just get that information out there, get that strategize to get more people involved. You don't know if you're connecting with volunteers or anything like that. And one of the things that we need to get rid of the duopoly is have more people get off of that plantation and onto third parties. Now I know a lot of people will say, "Hey, I like this third party over the other." I at this point I just want to see the duopoly go down. That is my goal. Okay, and I know there are a lot of other parties that I just can't judge with, like the Constitution Party. That's just not my thing. Hey, but some people like it. That's great for you. It's just not my cup of tea. Okay. I like iced sweet tea from the southern regions. All right. However, it is what it is. We know these two parties, they work together simultaneously to do whatever they want to do, and they care nothing about people who actually vote for them because they are already bought and paid for. So, the interesting thing about that is, just to poke that in that bear for a moment, is Zohran Mamdani. So I'm watching New York City very, 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 very closely. And the reason is I had some friends that used to live in New York City. So those roots are there. But I also have another friend. She does currently live in New York City. And I've seen some of the ambitions that he has. I am hoping that he's able to achieve them, but I'm also leery of the Democrat connection because it kind of seems like a Bernie thing, and then it's a burnout. So I'm really hoping that he does great and wonderful things because we all deserve great and wonderful things from our elected officials. Um, we deserve public servants, not politicians, and that is the best way to put it. I really do hope all the things that he wants gets done. And I know a lot of people are going to be watching because they don't want him to succeed. They want him to fail. And I'm hoping that the call is not coming from inside the house for him to fail. I'm hoping that the call from inside the house is a push towards greater things. But as it's the Democrat Party and a lot of people waited till last minute to endorse, I highly doubt it. It's people like Hakeem Jeffries. I wouldn't even want an endorsement from that man. I'm sorry, because he is King Genocide in my eyes. It's just what it is. When I look at the House, I can't say anything better about that guy. Between him and Cory Booker, they are the genocide twins in my eyes for House and Senate. They are the genocide twins. Ding, 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 ding. APAC, bought and paid for. So, Mamdani, good luck to you. I hope that you have the intentions that you have are going to be met and received well by your constituents. I just wish it were from a third party so that you wouldn't be bogged down in the whole duopoly situation. But that is coming up on the wrap for this evening. I really enjoyed all the things we talked about. We talked about Venezuela. We talked about AI and the eco webinar that's happening. And we talked about the action from the World Beyond War.org for Venezuela as well. Those things are in the chat if you would like to sign up for them. And as always, you can always reach out to me at Linktree. I think it's linktr/ee.greenparty_ _T. I believe that is. Or you could just email me. It's fine too. I don't mind emails. You can send me messages right here on YouTube, but definitely want to let you all know that I'll be doing more things like this, press releases and events that are coming up, because that's spilling the tea on what's going on with the Green Party and our collaboration with other people. All right. Hey, Anthony. Anthony is one of the members of our Black Caucus in North Carolina Green Party. He is wonderful, and we are very, very happy to have him. So, with that being said, folks, I hope you have a wonderful evening. Again, glad to have you all here, and I will see you all next Sunday, 6 p.m. It might be on Green Stream. We'll find out. Sorry. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But we'll find out. But we're going to keep it moving and hopefully get this show running the way it needs to be. Thank you for everything. Have a great night, everyone. Bye.